What's up everyone, it's ENDYMION, and good lord, here I thought I could relax, but as they say, evil never sleeps. And in this video, I'll show you how Disney has just been exposed in, honestly, I'm not kidding you, the worst scandal of the year for this company. That's right, you may think their movies are the worst part for them, or Elon Musk calling out Bob Iger. No. This is demon core nuclear levels of bad to reviewers. I'll also talk about their movies and later on too, but first, let's get right into it. From thatparkplace.com, we have this article titled, Disney World's alleged corruption exposed in independent audit is so brazen it may change US law. This latest explosive scandal surrounds the revelation of Disney's RCID, which stands for Reedy Creek Improvement District. Essentially, what is being exposed here by this independent audit is that Disney has been effectively running multiple scandals for decades under everyone's noses. This independent audit concluded that Disney's unchecked power over the state of Florida has resulted in, as they put it, instead, as a result of Disney's actions, the RCID became a privately controlled public entity that was serving only the private economic benefit of Disney. The old act allowed Disney to increase its corporate profits and enhance the expansion and operations of the Walt Disney World Resort at the expense of the public, surrounding communities, and the environment without mitigation. This far exceeded the powers and influence that the old act originally contemplated. This massive audit, by the way, is 80 pages long, so I fully expect that we'll hear more about the inner workings of this as the days go on. But so far, what this report is saying is that Disney as a company has been manipulating the state of Florida through very shady deals in order to push things like woke identity politics without any control. The RCID deal effectively turned Disney into its own government within the state of Florida, meaning they were able to operate and do whatever they pleased without the repercussions or oversight of any who could basically tell them what to do. And mind you, this scandal has just broke, but it turns out this level of unchecked power has allegedly been going on for decades at this point. It said in the report that the audit has found verifiable proof that Disney's higher-ups like CEO Bob Iger, for example, have used their influence within Disney and its massive coffers of money to sway the Florida government and its officials into looking the other way when it came to their shady business deals. The report states that Disney's executives would sway and control government employees and lawmakers through giving them gifts, such as free passes to Disney World, cash prizes, and all paid expenses to their resorts. This manipulation has led to corporate favoritism and the manipulation of the local authorities. These deals were used so Disney could, for example, expand their sphere of influence, and the actual physical space they could operate or own by bribing the right people. And like it was said, this initiative, which grants Disney government-level powers, means they've been using this leverage to increase their profits and power at the expense of the communities and environment around them. We're talking removing grants given to public communities in favor of Disney being able to expand and destroy the actual nature around them without any disregard in order to drive profits, even if it means poisoning the local wildlife and so on. This scandal paints the picture that Disney has been effectively destroying and controlling Florida for decades, and the corruption within this audit runs deeper than any one single person knows right now. And like I've said in a previous video with the hostile takeover of Perlmutter and Peltz, who are trying to strong-arm their way to Disney's board of directors, and the monumental losses of their movies this year alone could spell doom for CEO Bob Iger. But now we're finding out that beyond all of this, Bob Iger effectively was not only aware, but actively participated in the shady practices when it comes to what this RCID audit reveals. Remember that Iger was CEO of Disney for 15 years before he retired. Then Bob Chapek took over, and apparently Iger never really retired at all, and he had effectively the same level of control over Disney regardless. Meaning Chapek was all but a puppet CEO and was established as a fall guy for Iger. So when Bobby Boy made his return a few short years later out of his self-imposed retirement, he was able to emerge back into his CEO position while throwing any wrong moves fully onto Bob Chapek. Bob Iger has been playing 4D chess this entire time, and has been using his power as the CEO of Disney to effectively become a president of a small country within the confines of Florida. And when you take this scandal and you place it up against the implosion that was Disney getting burned for the Don't Say Gay bill, where Ron DeSantis and his government made it illegal for teachers or anyone else to influence children grade 3 or below with things like LGBT propaganda or more, it shows you that the real reason why Disney was so hellbent on removing that law was because it too was tied to their RCID umbrella of operations. Disney, up until Ron DeSantis, was operating within Florida with absolute autonomy. In a lot of ways, you can look at Florida's government for the past few decades to be like how Bob Chapek was when it came to being CEO of Disney, which is that he really wasn't the CEO and Iger was. And now that DeSantis is in control of Florida, this understandably places a massive wrench in Disney's ability to keep doing as they please without any restrictions. The Don't Say Gay bill was especially annoying for Disney since they have, as you know already, been drinking the Kool-Aid for years now. And the rise of identity politics has all but hollowed out the body of Disney and pushed anyone who doesn't believe in the woke agenda out of the company already. This is also why so many of their movies are failing and why brands like Pixar, for example, have fallen so hard. Because the people who would produce the hits of Pixar's past like Finding Nemo and more have all left the company already. And it's not because they were bad at their jobs, but simply due to the fact that they did not believe in or champion the social reprogramming that was going on behind the scenes. Disney has become an empire filled with like-minded individuals who all believe and act the same. It's why every movie says and feels identical to the rest. It's a homogenized slot machine designed to push the agenda beyond anything else. So what this new scandal proves is that ultimately what I have and many others have been reporting on for months or years now is that, well, we were right. And everything Disney assured parents and fans wasn't true has been nothing but the opposite. And this RCID scandal will now allow policymakers the leverage they need to inspect Disney even closer. And the fact this scandal is only breaking now when there's been literal decades worth of God knows what that's being hidden, this scandal could evolve and get even worse based on what ends up being discovered as time goes on and more layers of this decayed onion are peeled back. But beyond this, what this revelation means is that this could become an industry-wide operation. Because if Disney is doing what they're doing, who's to say other big media giants aren't also influencing their local and state governments? The corruption has been brewing and growing for well before I was even alive and then some. But now with this newly found introspection of what's going on, it completely recontextualizes what CEO Bob Iger has said in the past. Let's go back to May 2023, where The Hollywood Reporter had this article titled, "Bob Iger on Ron DeSantis' legal battle with Disney, does Florida want us to invest more or not?" Despite litigation with the GOP's governor administration, the company has plans to invest over $17 billion in its Florida theme park over the next 10 years. This article, which also details the ongoing battle between DeSantis and Disney, feels really gross and damning now that we know what we do. Especially here, where Bob Iger said this: "We certainly never expected to be in the position of defending our business interests in federal court considering the relationship we had with this state for 50 years. What Bob was actually saying here with this new context is Disney has never expected there to be any pushback to their wants within Florida. Since for the past 50 years, if they wanted something, they could just get it, through strong-arming the Florida government into bending the knee." Oh, this is delicious to read knowing what we know now, dude. Good lord. Ron DeSantis even tried to warn the public and the government about this when his team stated, DeSantis accused Disney cobbling together a series of backroom deals to allegedly preserve its competitive advantage over other businesses in the state and retain tax breaks. Oh man, this is great. So you're telling me Disney used its influence to strong-arm the government and ruin other potential businesses in order to maintain their power and influence? I am shocked, I tell you. Well, actually no, that's sarcasm. And it actually gets even better when Bob Iger even says publicly that Reedy Creek benefits Disney and the state. And this is why Florida needs to get off Disney's backs. And when you put that against what's already been said, this is just the cherry on top, fellas. But Bob Iger ending his argument by saying that Ron DeSantis not allowing Disney to invest and control more is simply retaliation and it's unfair. But knowing what we know now, DeSantis was always aware by giving Disney even an inch, it could ruin even more opportunities for everyone else who isn't aligned with Disney already. The report gets more damning when we look at more information being presented from other sites like Reuters, for example. There's quite a bit, so I'll just recite it. Reuters journalist Don Chmielewski said, and I quote, For years, the company treated district employees like Disney employees by, for instance, providing complimentary annual passes and steep discounts. Benefits and perks that were akin to bribes, said the 80-page report, which the new board was required to prepare for DeSantis and the Florida legislature within 1 year of its creation. Not surprisingly then, the district's employees believed that it was in their job to prioritize the interest of Disney. The state legislature established the Reedy Creek District in 1967 as a special purpose district to support the development of Walt Disney World. The report said the board enjoyed exceptionally broad authority to regulate itself at Disney's total discretion. It found the board was inverted to serve Disney, which held voting control of the prior board of supervisors. A Disney spokesperson said in a statement was an exercise in revisionist history. This report is neither objective nor credible. Further, it does not change the fact that the board was appointed by the governor to punish Disney for exercising its constitutional right to free speech. Disney would temporarily deed prospective board members plots of land so they would be eligible to oversee the Reedy Creek District, and also paid the property taxes due on behalf of these officials according to the report. The report did not name the officials. Among other key claims, the report found Disney effectively captured the supervisors and the district's employees by showering them with gifts and lavish spending. Disney provided complimentary annual passes and discounts on cruises, hotel stays, merchandise, and food to employees, supervisors, retirees, and vendors. The company initially provided these benefits free, though in 2006, the district began reimbursing Disney for these expenses using taxpayer dollars, according to the report. Reuter couldn't establish why this alleged practice changed. The report claimed the Reedy Creek District labeled the spending as financial and administrative services, a practice the report called misleading. The report also found that the Reedy Creek District flagrantly spent tax money under its control on employee perks, on parties and special events. Over a 15-month period ending in December 2022, former district administrator John Class charged about $166,000 to his district American Express card. $100,000 of those charges were related to parties and celebrations, the report said. Class declined to comment. In April, Disney sued Florida in federal court, claiming DeSantis and his allies of weaponizing state government to punish Disney for exercising its free speech rights. The DeSantis-appointed oversight board countersued in state court, seeking to void the backroom deals favorable to the entertainment giant. End quote. Holy crap, dude. So not only has Disney been controlling effectively hundreds of government employees for decades through lavish gifts, free trips, food, and throwing parties exceeding $100,000 sometimes, but they also use their influence to reimburse themselves of that money they spent to control these officials by siphoning it back through Florida's taxpayers. This means that Disney found a loophole to basically control government employees through bribes and then make Floridian taxpayers be the ones who actually paid for those gifts, trips, and parties. Wow, so if you live in Florida, I guess, surprise, your taxpayer dollars have been used for decades now, so Disney can have absolute control over everything. Hope you're happy knowing your hard-earned taxes are being spent so some government employee gets to enjoy Disney World for free. Or some suits get to go on vacation with your money. Bloody hell, dude, this is bad. But as it stands right now, that's where the scandal is at. It's a massive money laundering scheme that has been plaguing Florida for over 50 years, and it's only now coming to light. And the implications of what this could mean for Bob Iger's stay as CEO are definitely something we need to discuss. Because beyond the woke agenda and failure of movies, this is genuinely something that could and should be addressed as reason alone to remove him as the head of the company. And it also further proves to me anyway that this backdoor dealing is likely a big reason why Bob Iger never wanted to leave Disney. It gave him so much control, he probably feels like a god among men because of it, and that's worrying. But then again, this is the same guy who said the reason the Marvels failed was not because of its agenda, but simply because not enough executives were on set to ensure its quality. Yeah, I don't think that would have helped Bob. But then again, clearly you and the rest of your executives were too busy embezzling Florida taxpayer dollars and bribing people to have any spare time to see your girl boss failure movie, so I guess there's that. But then again, Disney also recently announced they're officially giving up on the Marvels and will no longer announce what it makes going forward. Which of course they'd say that because it's not making anything worth announcing anymore anyway. I wager within the next month we'll see it launch on Disney Plus, cause clearly ain't nobody going out to see that nonsense in theaters. The film apparently only grossed $2.5 million in its fourth weekend, so yeah, this movie is about as dead as Tony Stark now. Then of course you have Elon Musk recently, who was in an interview with Sandy Munro of Munro & Associates to talk about everything Tesla and more. But Munro ended up asking Elon about his viral moment where he told Bob Iger and Disney to go F themselves. To which Elon said, well, you have to wonder, what would Walt Disney think of the company that is his namesake today? I think Walt Disney's turning in his grave faster than a drill bit. And Elon Musk is right, dude, he is, especially now that we know this huge scandal is happening as well. Walt Disney is doing somersaults in his grave at this point. And Elon also replied to a tweet about Disney losing millions of subs due to his comments, which are fake by the way, but Elon did say this anyway. This is fake, but Disney and others were buying advertising on this platform because it made financial sense for them to do so. It wasn't some kind of charitable donation. In boycotting X, they will experience a meaningful decline in distribution, which is contrary to the interests of their shareholders. And again, he's right. I mean, if you want to keep yourself culturally relevant, you kinda have to advertise on the world's biggest stage when it comes to speaking out. And whether Disney wants to admit it or not, that's Twitter, or X I guess. And then of course when I was editing this, even more information comes out and makes things even worse. Good lord, dude. Now it's being reported by that Park Place that another major investor at Disney is backing up Nelson Peltz and Ike Perlmutter in their hostile takeover. The company known as Ancora Holdings Group has just published an open letter to Disney's shareholders to let them know that they will be siding with Peltz and Perlmutter when it comes to the takeover of Disney from Bob Iger and pals. Ancora holds roughly $8.7 billion in shares when it comes to Disney, and within their letter, which is pretty damn long and this video is long enough as it is, that they will be siding and looking to add Nelson Peltz as a board member as soon as possible. They do say in the letter that Disney's leadership and performance have suffered greatly in the last few years, and Ancora and their members no longer see Bob Iger as being fit enough to lead Disney out of the hole it's already in. And there is one section here where Ancora proves that these shareholders have had enough of Disney's woke nonsense, where they state this: the board's stewardship issues have not only resulted in financial setbacks. By allowing Disney to devote shareholders' resources to a number of politicized initiatives, the board has overseen a deterioration of what was once the most unifying brand in the world. The company is increasingly dividing rather than delighting a growing number of consumers. And they state that Disney is currently the 5th most polarizing brand in the world, with FTX at 4th, and the rest I don't know at this moment. And Ancora states that the next 12 to 24 months are going to be pivotal when it comes to whether Disney survives or implodes. And the fact they're openly stating their public support of Peltz proves that this hostile takeover isn't just some nothing burger. It's a real thing that's actually happening, and every week it's getting bigger and worse. And unless Bob Iger somehow turns around the company immediately, which he won't, let's be real, despite whatever Iger does, this hostile takeover is coming for everything that he and his board have when it comes to Disney. And it doesn't help when you have people speaking out publicly like this. And don't forget when the original director of Snow White's son, who used to work at Disney, whose name is David Hand, just said it how it is, and I quote, "I mean, it's a whole different concept and I just totally disagree with it. And I know my dad and Walt would also very much disagree with it. I think it's pathetic that people feel that way. These are art forms in the world of film today. I'm afraid of what they're going to do with the early films. Their thoughts are just so radical now. They change the stories, they change the thought processes of the characters, they just aren't the original stories anymore. They're making up new woke things, and I'm just not into any of that. I find it quite frankly a bit insulting that they may have done with some of these classic films. There's no respect for what Disney did and for what my dad did. I think Walt and he would be turning in their graves," end quote. And I think that's a good place as any to leave this, but as you can see, Disney is absolutely rotten to their core at this point. Their movies are failing, the message is being rejected, and now they're being exposed for manipulating Florida for decades at this point. Dude, that's crazy. There is no sensible explanation for how Bob Iger will weasel his way out of this one. For almost 20 years under his watch alone, this has been happening, and someone needs to pay the price for it. But will that be enough to save Disney? I guess we'll see. But until then, have a wonderful day everyone, subscribe and like the video to help the channel out. Thanks to my patrons as always, and please take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one.